one thing we all long for is to be in love. But how do you know if it's really love or just a flurry of emotions? You could make the biggest decision of your life and make a mistake unless you know how to tell the difference between love and infatuation. That's today's topic on Living on the Edge.
Sounds like something I need to have my kids listen to. Welcome to this new week of broadcasts here on Living on the Edge with Chip Ingram. Living on the Edge is a daily radio broadcast featuring the Bible teaching ministry of Chip Ingram, senior pastor of Venture Christian Church in Los Gatos, California. I'm Dave Drury, and as Chip just said, knowing the difference between love and infatuation will save you and others a lot of heartache. So today we'll explore how to really know from God's Word if you're in love. Just after Chip's message, we'll tell you how you or someone you know can receive a special resource to help build rock-solid relationships. As always, if you have to miss a portion of today's broadcast, you can hear it online at livingontheedge.org. That's livingontheedge.org. Now with part one of his message, How to Know If You're in Love, here's Chip.
I want to talk together about how to know if you're in love. And to get there, I want to say, okay, let's define love first. Second, let's learn how to discern between infatuation and love. And then third, let's get practical and talk about how do you develop your love life, whether you're single or whether you're married. How do you move in a direction that will cause you to make wise decisions, get in healthy relationships, and instead of pounding your head on a counter, you look up into the eyes of someone else and say, you know something? Life isn't real easy, but it sure is a thrill to go through it with you. Okay? So, let's define love. In English, the word love can mean almost anything, right? And that's the problem. I mean, it can mean I can look into the eyes of my wife and in the most intimate moment of truth-telling say, Teresa, I love you. And then Clifford can come over to my house and say, I love the Cowboys. No one should love the Cowboys, but he does. Right? How can the word for my deepest feelings and commitment to my wife and the Cowboys in the same sentence? This isn't fair. So the Greek language is a bit more precise. There's 4 key words, 3 which I think, for our purposes, talk about what love is. 3 types of love. The first kind of love that we find is eros love. This is a need love. It's based upon physical attraction and fulfillment. This love is necessary for marriage to succeed. However, marriage cannot be sustained by eros alone. Can you think of the English word that comes from this? Erotic, right. We said it right out loud in church. Yes, we did. Erotic. It's a part of God's plan. Now, I know many of you have come with a friend, you're thinking, erotic. One, they said that in church. And now we're going to hear how God's against it, the Bible's against it, and I knew about those Christians. See, some of you, I can hear you thinking, is that what you're going to say? No. God invented erotic love. And it has a purpose. It's just not all there is. In fact, this is an R-rated passage. Don't let your kids read this until they get old enough you can talk with them. Proverbs chapter 5. A son is being counseled by his father about how to deal with his sexuality and how to deal with his passions. Follow along as I read. Drink water from your own cistern. The metaphor is water. Running water from your own well. Should your springs overflow into the streets, your streams of water into the public squares? Let them be with yours alone, speaking of his wife. Never to be shared with strangers. Notice the next one. May your fountain be blessed, and may you rejoice in the wife of your youth, a loving doe, a graceful deer. May her breasts satisfy you always. May you ever be captivated or literally intoxicated by her love. Right out of the Bible. God is not a prude. God created sexual attraction, erotic love, and it is one aspect. What's happened is Hollywood makes that all there is. See, erotic love is the fire. It's the passion. The problem with fire is, when it's in the fireplace, it warms, heats a room, and is wonderful. You take it out of the fireplace and stick it on the floor in the living room, it burns the house down. We're living in a culture where people are throwing their fire everywhere, and it's destroying relationships. In the fireplace, let her burn, baby, let her burn. The second kind of love. You guys got way too much enjoyment out of that. Or maybe you're just spiritually mature. The second kind of love in scriptures is called phileo love. This is friendship love. The Bible uses the word companionship several times in describing what a marriage relationship is. Phileo love means reciprocal sharing of time, activities, the home, hobbies, games, and other objects of common fellowship. Yeah, it's that mutuality, that friendship word for love, the family word for love. Eros looks at a man and a woman as lovers. Phileo looks at a man and a woman as best friends. Third kind of love is called agape love. This is giving love. This can be unilateral. In other words, the other person doesn't even have to respond. It's in that one gives even when the other doesn't respond as expected or hoped. It's giving and meeting the real needs of the other with the purpose of helping the person become a better, more mature individual. Agape love takes the initiative and energizes the other two kinds of love. 1 Corinthians 13, 4-8. Ask yourself how many of these specific characteristics of love have to do with your emotions and your feelings and what's convenient. And how many of these characteristics have to do with choices and sacrifice and giving and actually reaching out and doing for other people what they don't deserve. You see, phileo love has a friendship love and we give and it's reciprocal. Agape love is you give not because they've done something nice, but in spite of the fact that they're not very nice sometimes. So listen now to these words, and this is love. An unconditional, supernatural kind of love. It says love is patient. We could stop right there. I mean, think about what that's putting up with a lot of junk over a long period of time and not retaliating. Love is kind. It doesn't envy. It's not jealous. It doesn't boast. It's not proud. It's not rude. It's not self-seeking. What? The relationship is not about you. It's not about your rights. It's not about what you can get. It is, how do I serve the other person? It goes on. It's not easily angered. You don't blow up. You don't pout. You don't demand, well, when she apologizes, we'll get this straightened out. When he comes and does what I've been telling him to do, that's not agape love. It keeps no record of wrongs. What? Love doesn't delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. There's no delight in, see, I caught you. It's, you know what? You were exposed in love. I'd like to just cover that multitude of sin. Goes on to say, it always protects, it always trusts, it always hopes, it always perseveres. Love never fails. It goes on and talks in contrast. There's gifts and things God uses in the church. They'll all fade away. They'll all have a limited time and purpose. But love thinks the best, believes the best, cares, perseveres, hangs in there, goes through the tough seasons of life, makes a commitment of unconditional loyalty, and no matter what, I'm with you. That's what love is. Eros love has to do with the emotions and the passions and the physical attraction. Phileo love has to do with being friends and communion and reciprocity and sharing and doing life. Agape love is the supernatural, unconditional love toward another person that they don't deserve, that you have received from him, and only by a supernatural power, Christ living in you via the Holy Spirit, empowered by his word, because you are speaking to him in prayer and in community with other people, getting grace to give away what you're receiving. If you're ever going to know if you're really in love, you need to look at it not as just Hollywood, affection, meet someone, try to work it out, get the strong feelings, but you need to define love clearly. And love is three strands woven together in balance. There is a passionate eros, there is a friendship phileo, and there is agape love as the basis, where you treat one another the way God has treated you. And if that is love, then you'll know whether you're in love or not pretty quickly. Second thing we need to do, though, is discernment. Knowing what love is the first step, but the second step is, how do you discern when you're infatuated? How do you discern when it's just chemicals go off in your brain? And you have these feelings and you get lightheaded and you feel this attraction. And when God is really leading and this is a real relationship and you love someone. Because here's the deal. If you don't figure that out, you're setting yourself up for relational chaos. I'm going to give you a little test, all right? And as we go through this test, especially if you're single and you're in a relationship and the other person isn't here, pull out a pen, okay? And what I want to do, I'm going to talk about love, infatuation, and then in the corner, if your relationship is 51% more on the loving side, put an L. If it's 51 or more % on the infatuation side, put an I, all right? Now, if you're here with the person that you're dating, put your pen down. Make a mental note and then schedule a time to go for a coffee or a Coke and talk about where you think your relationship is. Now, if you've been married for a few years or many, many years, don't check out on me. If you're a grandparent, you need to hear what I'm going to talk about because you need to sit down with your grandkids. As we talk about this is not just for single people, because in just a minute I'm going to talk about how infatuation can occur to married people. And if you don't know what it is and can't spot it, it can destroy your relationship. Okay? Test question number 1, L, it's love. I, it's infatuation. Test 1 is the test of time. Love grows, and all growth requires time. Infatuation may come suddenly. So infatuation can, boom, explode at any moment. Love, real love, takes time. Because it's related to test number 2, the test of knowledge. Love grows out of an appraisal of all the known characteristics of the other person. Infatuation may arise from an acquaintance with only a few or only one of these characteristics. You cannot even know a person. Let's get real here. This has happened to everybody here, right? Now, the other person may not even know you're infatuated, but just a glance, or you just see someone and the chemicals start going off. Now, if you're married and you're a believer and you're thinking, my chemicals need to stay at home in the fireplace, well, what you do is you back away from that and you go a different direction. But if you allow it, that infatuation, and they look and then you look but knowledge. If you really know a person and it's built on knowledge, then it can be love. If you don't know them at all and you got these feelings, it's infatuation. Third test is the test of focus. Love is other person-centered. It is outgoing. It results in sharing. Infatuation is self-centered. When a person gets infatuated, you know who they're all caught up with? Them. I still remember early years in college, and I had a roommate, and it was like his first time ever infatuated or in love, whatever you want to call it. And I mean, he went into gaga land. So anyway, he gets to know her. And then pretty soon, it's, oh, Chip, excuse me. What do you think? Is this shirt? Do you think this shirt looks good? These shoes? You think go to the shoes? I got my basketball shorts. I could wear them. We play ball. And I mean, where's his focus? Him. That's not love. That's chemical exchanges of the brain. Infatuation. Test number 4, singularity. Genuine love is centered on only one person. An infatuated individual may be, quote, in love with 2 or more persons simultaneously. Now, let me tell you a really funny story, and let me tell you a real serious one. The first one's funny when I look back. I'm about 20, 21, and I'm graduating from college. I've been out actually 1 year, and I'm dating this girl in school, and she's at another college, and I'm thinking, it's kind of infatuation. I don't know her that well, but we're building a little relationship, and I'm thinking, maybe she's the one because I'm having these feelings. And so I end up on this Christian basketball team where we travel all throughout South America, and we started, I think, in Puerto Rico or Dominican Republic, and so, I've got this. Now, it's not formal or anything. I just have these feelings. And we talk whenever I'm near her, whoa, you know how it goes, right? Okay, so we get to Puerto Rico. I can't remember the island. We play their big team in this big stadium. And I meet this gal who's a missionary there. And we go on a picnic together. Whoa. I looked at her. I still can remember the color of her dress. Don't tell Teresa. It was like, bang. And then we went to Peru. And this guy had a daughter, a missionary, and I fell in love with her. And then in Santiago, Chile, it was a basketball federation. We had this meal, and this gal sat across from me with these dark brown eyes and beautiful long black hair. And we went to 5 countries. Man, I'm in love with 5 girls in 5 different countries, plus the girl back home. You know what I learned? It doesn't have anything to do with love. It was all chemicals. I could be attracted to a lot of different people. That's not love. That just means there was chemistry. Not so funny story. There are very real times in every married life. There are seasons of marriage when it gets hard. And when it gets hard, people bail out. You have your first child, then you have another one. Now you got 2 in diapers. Comes about the time, then the guy, he's got to really push it at work. Or it happens, you hit teenage years, and a wife is really feeling a lot of pressure, and there's some financial demands. And all the energy goes to a rebellious child. It happens again when the empty nest and, you haven't really cultivated and stoked the coals of fire of your relationship. And so pretty soon that emotional stuff isn't going real strong. We're committed, we're Christians, we love each other, we're supposed to. Deep, it's meaningful. And you go through some of these windows, and you're vulnerable in those times. You're not vulnerable because you're a bad person. You're vulnerable because you're vulnerable. And there's a lot of pressure, and you're not meeting one another's emotional needs. And here's what happens. A lady comes to a Bible study, and on her way home, there's a guy in the next car, and she pulls into a little fast food, and he pulls in, and their eyes meet, and it's not a big deal, but, oh, gosh, hi, and he seems very kind, and that little chemistry starts. Then the next week from the Bible study, he finds out he's at the office over there, and their eyes meet again, and the chemistry starts. Now, if she's a wise believer who knows Christ in a deep way, what she'll understand is this is infatuation. She's vulnerable. Chemicals are happening. It's very normal. Or to a guy, a lot of pressure. Now he's hit those times, and his wife is going through a change of life, and he can't remember the last time they made love, and he's pretty frustrated, but doesn't know how to talk about it, doesn't know who to talk about it. He's buried it down inside. You can only watch so much Monday Night Football. And there's someone who really seems to listen at work when he talks. 90% of all affairs don't occur on the basis of just physical attraction. It starts out where there's little chemistry, time of vulnerability, and very godly, loving people who know better. It feels so good to get some of that eros tickle that then they make some little decisions that they don't mean to go anywhere, and they go somewhere. It is not love, it is infatuation. And good, godly people get infatuated, make the dumbest decisions of their life, destroy children in the process, break up a good thing that needed some attention and some rekindling, and then you have a broken family here, and the life cycle on infatuation is 9 to 18 months. And then all those ooey-gooey feelings, they leave. And you're stuck with another person with the same kind of real needs as you, except now what they know for sure is they can't trust you because you left your last mate, and you can't trust them. And so now you have two people with character flaws playing a new game. Need I say any more? If you don't know the difference between infatuation and love, you'll destroy your life and others.
Knowing the difference between love and infatuation is serious business. Mistaking the two will bring heartache and pain. Now, no one wants to go through that kind of pain, but sometimes we just don't know what to do next. The series Love, Sex, and Lasting Relationships will help you understand how to build real, lasting, intimate relationships. In this series featuring Chip Ingram, you'll learn the difference between true love and infatuation. You'll learn what the Bible teaches about sex and making the right choices. You'll find that God's command for sexual purity is not a prohibition of sex, but a prescription for a loving, lasting relationship. You'll be challenged like never before to follow God's plan for relationships. In today's sex-obsessed culture, this series is vital for singles, young adults, parents of teens, and anyone in a relationship, married or single. The series Love, Sex, and Lasting Relationships is available for a special on-air price. For complete pricing and ordering information, please call toll-free 1-888-333-6003 or order online at livingontheedge.org. That's livingontheedge.org for your copy of Love, Sex, and Lasting Relationships from Living on the Edge. Well, Chip, before you come back with some specific application from today's message, you painted a pretty graphic picture of what happens when we confuse love and infatuation. But that's just the tip of the iceberg, isn't it?
Dave, it really is. And I do have to tell you, of all the things that trip people up in relationships, I know of nothing greater than when people confuse infatuation with love. Now, don't get me wrong. The feelings with infatuation, this euphoric, over-the-top, life's wonderful, I can't think of anything but this other person. It is God-given for the right time, the right place, with the right person. But it doesn't mean you're in love. It means that chemicals went off in your brain. And so what happens is that people literally, people make the stupidest, most ungodly, and often sinful decisions when they're infatuated of any other time in their life. And this is why you need community. This is why, unless you have a couple friends that they say, well, tell me about this guy. Well, he's been in 4 marriages before, and he's only been in prison about 11 years. Now, tell me some other good things about him. Well, he says he loves God. I'm teasing, but I got to tell you, I have heard the wildest stories. We can't hear
We can't be objective. And I just want to encourage people, get in community, do this series with some other people, and trust your friends. I mean, trust the people that love you. I mean, some of you even trust your parents. They really do have your best in mind. And be willing. If it's real love, you back off and get objective. Just remember, infatuation is not wrong, but it's not the same thing as true love. When you find the right person and objectively find true love biblically, those feelings of infatuation, they're strong, they'll kick in, but you can't mistake it for genuine love or you'll end up in the ditch relationally. And that's why we're so passionate of getting this small group series in your hands and in the hands of your friends to help you do it God's way.
Thanks, Chip. You know, one of the ways we're helping get this message into your hands is by deeply discounting it. And right now you'll save 30% on the small group DVD study of Love, Sex, and Lasting Relationships. In fact, our entire small group DVD library is 30% off. You'll find all the information on topics, pricing, shipping, even watch a preview of the series before you buy at livingontheedge.org. That's livingontheedge.org. And be sure to check out our Groups That Give Back initiative while you're there. Now, with some final thoughts from today's message, here's Chip.
Today we wanted to ask and answer the question, how to know if you're in love. And the first aspect of that is definitional. In other words, what is love? If you don't know what love is, there's no way to know if you're in love. The second aspect is about discernment. How do you know when it's real love and when it's infatuation? And in our next broadcast, we're going to have some real fun. I actually have a test I'm going to give you, so you can play that out. And I think God will really show you whether you're in love or infatuated. But let's spend the rest of our time today talking about these three kinds of love. We said there was the eros love, that need-based erotic love, the sexual aspect of love. We said there's phileo, this friendship love, this communication, the warmth, the family, the part of your heart where you share life. And then we said there's agape love, this unconditional God-type love that accepts the other person, forgives the other person, and stays committed to the other person no matter what. In fact, I defined it as giving the other person what they need the most when they deserve it the least. I mean, that's a tall order. That's why it's agape love. It takes the supernatural power of God. Now, I've counseled, I don't know how many couples, hundreds, thousands, maybe over the last 25 years as a pastor. And let me just share some delicate things to men and women, those of you that are married, that might be helpful. The basis of your relationship has to be agape love because, as you know, you're married to a fallen person. But there's a lot of women, can I speak very directly to you, that you think there's something wrong with your husband. You think that all he is into is erotic love. All he wants is sex all the time. And you feel kind of like, you know what about this phileo love? And what about long talks and helping around the house and, helping out with the budget and helping the kids with their homework and looking into my eyes and hearing what's really going on with me? I don't get any of that, but at 10 o'clock, he says, hey, do you love me? And as a result, there's some resentment among a lot of women thinking this erotic aspect, they kind of wish, many women have told me in counseling, I like everything in my marriage, but I don't like sex. And there's a lot of men who just don't get it. And I want to talk to you. And the reason why at 10 o'clock, 9:30, whatever at night, your wife is not responsive is because what fuels her flame to give herself to you is phileo love. And it's those talks. It's helping around the house. It's reaching into her world and understanding her. As someone has rightly said, love really is birthed in the kitchen. It's caring and talking and helping. And so what I want to say as takeaway value for you today, if you're a woman with some frustrations, ask God for agape love to love your husband in a way that makes sense to him. And I want to say to you men, ask God for agape love to love your wife in a way that makes sense to her. And I think when one of you moves, you'll see a dynamic process begin to occur with Christ at the center.
As we wrap up today's broadcast, I want to remind you that you can now connect with Living on the Edge on Facebook. Participate in online discussions, post a comment, make a suggestion, connect with other Living on the Edge listeners. It's a great way to introduce Living on the Edge to friends and co-workers. To find out more, go to livingontheedge.org and click on the Facebook logo on the homepage. Well, join us again tomorrow as Chip continues our current series, Love, Sex, and Lasting Relationships. Until then, for Chip and the entire team, this is Dave Drury saying thanks for joining us for this edition of Living on the Edge.